Me AliExpress stuff came.
Yes.
I spent hours building this little minuscule mushroom
These were
person.
so fucking small.
Like, I mean, tiny. Like,
Even
as
for
in,
Chelsea, they were diddy iddy.
Like, if I had bigger hands, I'd be done for.
And then, so obviously she's growing her nails, isn't she? Again,
Fine.
right? And obviously, when the bits were wrong, she was trying to like get them out of her nails, and then she finished it.
So I use my teeth.
Yeah. So then she finished it, and then she was like, "It's done, but I don't know what this bit's for." And I was like, "That's to get the bits apart." And she's like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense." Hello, and welcome to a thing. What am I saying?
Right, start again.
Hello, and welcome to a Q&A session with TT's management team. I am Abby Louise, and I'm here with Chelsea Lagan
Hello!
and Jimmy Wolf.
Hello there.
We're doing this a little bit differently to what we normally do. We record on a system called Zen, but today we are doing Zen with video. So if this all goes Pete Tong, that's why, because it's a new system, basically. So we have been given 18 questions to answer. So we're going to answer them to the best of our abilities and, yeah, see how it goes, essentially. So, number 1. How do you come up with the unique stories and concepts of your audio dramas?
Miss Lagan, please.
Well, lovely. Well, essentially, the only thing that I have properly written has been the reanimated series, and Abby gave me that one because she was like, "I need help," and I was just like, "I shall help," and she gave it to me, and it was very great. I don't really, I do never come up with a beginning, middle, and end. It usually happens very spontaneously whenever I am typing something, and I listen to music, and that's it. But one of the unique things that I'm doing currently is before the reanimated, so it explores the stories of certain reanimated slash zombies and what they were like before, whenever they were people and they had lives. And I kind of always thought that, zombies got a bad rap because they're just seen as zombies, and you actually want to find out what they were like as an actual individual person rather than just a zombie. So it's great to do that, and also it's amazing to get new people every single episode, so that they can either try voice acting or be in a TT production, and I love it. It gives me great joy. Please.
It depends on what I'm writing, if I'm perfectly honest, because obviously Agency's the main one I do, but I've done bits and pieces. I've done bits of Torchwood, obviously bits of The Touched and things like that. And it's sort of, generally speaking, for a lot of mine, it's either I come up with a random idea or a conversation and work out how I can build a story around it, or I come up with a story title, think that would make a really good story title. What would then be the story? But then a lot of the time, I've literally got a document on my phone of just random bits of conversation, thinking, story title, here's a random conversation that's going to go in it. And it's like, right, I've got no idea what's going on around it, but that's the starting point. But I think it is just a case of you've just got to get that spark of inspiration from something. Because let's be honest, especially when it comes to Doctor Who, it is quite difficult to find an original idea. So I think if you can take something that you think, so for example, you might, say, "Oh, I like that. We haven't seen that done in a while, or we haven't seen that character in a while. We haven't seen this," and then think, how can you do something that's unique and original, that's maybe been done before, but you can put your own spin on it, kind of thing. But then from the sort of the side of things about, like, for example, doing the Touch series was just purely because we had this amazing series that got cancelled, and so it's like, we want more, so we're going to make more.
Which is fair. See, my side of TT, I tend to, other than Pat Gang, I tend to be in control of like the pure historicals, and a lot of the time, I'm a social historian. And a lot of the time, I am one of these people that will just clean the house whilst listening to a historical podcast, or decide I'm going to have a night in with a tub of ice cream and watch a Dan Snow documentary. So a lot of the time, I'll be learning, and then like a light bulb will go off. Prime example, Sandy Toksvik done a documentary about the Gateways Club in London, and Green Door came out today for us, which was basically inspired by Sandy's documentary about the Gateways Club. So that's kind of how my brain ticks around. It's always kind of flooding out ideas. Jack the Ripper, what if Jack was a female, you know, blah, 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 blah. It's building up on the history. And I've said this before, but I love the concept of teaching people history without them necessarily knowing that they're learning stuff. So that's a big aspect when it comes to ideas on my end.
Right, so here we go. Question number 2. What inspired you to TT, and how has it evolved since the beginning? Abby?
So, I am OG TT, which original TT. Essentially, it is my baby, as Jimmy just said. But basically, it was lockdown. A lot of us were on TikTok, and by a lot of us, I mean James York, Matt Barrett, Ian Harris, Brandon McCaffrey. A lot of us met in lockdown on TikTok, and we started off doing like acting out scenes that we'd made up on there, and then it kind of evolved to me saying to Brandon, I might have a go at writing a script, but I'm not too sure if I can. I'm dyslexic, I've got ADHD, blah, 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 blah. And he said, have a go. And I did. And Angels of Station 2964 happened, and then the ball started rolling. But much to many people's shocks, TT does not stand for TikTok. It stands for time travel. But yeah, and basically what drew me to starting TT is just the concept of being able to act from your home. I always wanted to get into acting, but my career went on a different tangent. I joined the military, but now I'm a stay-at-home mum. I'm a single mum who would love to get into acting. So rather than going out there and doing it, I essentially created the environment to be able to create it myself. And then I just went around recruiting people, and Jimmy and Chelsea magically appeared at some point.
So, I have what is always, I think, a funny story about how I joined TT. Abby knows exactly what I'm about to say. So, I wrote a script for the Paul Sprague's Big Finish Memorial, and it didn't get chosen, as many people don't. But I was really, really proud of the script. So I was looking around and I thought, oh, TT, I'll send it into these people, see what they think. And I sent it off saying, I'd be interested in maybe making this into a audio. And I got a very, I have to say, very polite, thanks but no thanks.
It was Doctor Who. Like...
Yeah. Anyway, skip ahead. I ended up getting an email from Abby basically just saying, oh, we're doing this series, I think, was it R101 or was it Tusks was the first?
Tusks.
It was Tusks. You know, would you be interested? Because I think it was Josh Griggs asked you if you could ask me to do it. And I was like, yeah, okay, I'm totally up for that. And it wasn't until a lot later that I remembered that you'd actually turned me down before. And yet, here I am. But no, that's one of those things that always, but the thing that always really makes me laugh about it as well is, like, I think like many Doctor Who fans, I've always wanted to do, I had my own Doctor Who series on my channel for a while, and I'd always wanted to do stuff like that. But it really just sort of grew from a case of doing things like, I want to do a Doctor Who series, and then it was like I'm getting involved with all these other series and things like that. And I just sort of, it was one of those moments where, having not been at TT from the beginning, I can only sort of say my experience of how it's evolved, but it genuinely went very, very quickly from doing some few audios with a group of people that, I didn't really know, to now we're literally like family. You know, it's just we've really just sort of and it's sort of evolved into this amazing friendship from a really small thing, and I just it's just really absolutely phenomenal that it's just sort of gone that far that soon. But I love it, you know, and
It's definitely gone above and beyond what I initially
Mhm.
wanted
so
it to be.
so much, yeah. And even, you know, even me as one of the later joiners can see, you know, how it's progressed, and you know, looking back over things, and again listening to things back, you know, when I started doing it, and I was listening to some of the sort of really early audios produced and things like that. They they were always good. Don't make that face. No, seriously, they were always good. But it was the little things that we've always said. It's amazing when you listen back how you can hear how just the quality of like sound and things like that. It's the small details,
Mhm.
things like little sound effects being put in, music, scoring, you know, microphone quality, etc. And it's just you really do have that amazing progression, you know. And I've found it amazing to see how much it's progressed, not only since I've been part of it, but since before, and going all the way back to the beginning as someone who came in from the outside after it had started.
Um. So, me and Abby were in this project together, and it was one night, and I wasn't involved in this script and in that script per se, but they were having a reading, and I thought, geez, I'm well bored. I'll text the woman who's in charge, and I'll be like, here, can I just sit in and listen? I'm well bored. I have nothing to do. And she was like, "Hi, of course you can join." And the minute I joined, I just sat there, listened to everybody. It was absolutely fantastic. And it got to the very end of the script, and everyone was giving each other praise and everything, and say, "Oh, you're great." And I said, "Here, lads, you've done absolutely class. For me having a really boring night to this, it was absolutely great." And Abby was just like, "Are you Irish?" Because what I didn't know is that Abby was looking for an Irish voice actress for ages, and then she was kind of giving up hope until I came along. And even from then, like, obviously I worked primarily with Overton Audios, and a lot of it was just recording from my phone. I never had a setup or anything like that, and then once I got more involved with TT, I was like, oh jeez, everybody has a microphone. I need to get a bit more professionalism about me. So I got my microphone, and it was something. And then I've got this one, which is my baby, which is my everything, which is giving me crispness. But like from joining TT, like I definitely seen a very big spike in my confidence within myself and my acting ability as a whole, because I was told before that I just have an uncastable face. So mainly it's like me saying like a big up yours and being like, well, if you can't cast me by my face, you can cast me by my voice. And then I just dabbled my toe into like accents and everything, and I've seen a lot of growth. But I've seen a lot of growth within people, not only with their professionalism and, you know, the way they act, like the way they write and the way they edit, but like more that boast of confidence within each and every one of us that have kept doing this. And we always get a right laugh at the end of it anyway. Like, people think we take it really seriously, and I'm like, we do, but the amount of laughs that we do is ridiculous.
We get the job done in the end.
That's
Like,
it.
as long as we get to the finish line, it's grand.
Hmm.
So, question 3: which of your characters has been the most fun to voice?
I kind of have to say Jenny. As much as that voice rips my vocal cords, she's my baby. I've literally created that character from the ground up. Fair enough, Stephen Moffat kind of started it, but I've kind of spread her more finely. And some of the stuff I've put that girl through, and some of the stuff I will be putting that girl through.
Mm.
Yes, spoilers. But yeah, definitely Jenny Flint. I say, as much as
Her voice is kind of at the back of my throat and it really like grinds my voice all the time.
I used to have to do so much prep to get into that voice as well. I used to have to, a lot of people within TT, whenever they have to do a impression, You normally have that like keyword that you do to get into that, but where I've been doing her so often, I don't have to do that anymore, which is nice. But yes, definitely Jenny Flint.
Chelsea?
Okay. Which has been the
Sticker. Sticker, innit? Basically, I love sticker. It's amazing.
No, honestly, sticker like there I can just slip in and out of it now. It's like I used to have be like, alright, would be the thing to get me into it, but no. I can switch it on and off whenever I want, to much of everybody's displeasure. But I don't like their sticker was something that I never knew I was going to do. It was Joshua Griggs was writing this character for Tusk of London, and he was like, "Oh, I was thinking about this character, blah blah blah," and then obviously I was getting sent some of the script and everything, and I was just like, "Why can I imagine just this little Oliver Twist-looking character, but he has a front tooth missing, so he has a lisp?" And they were like, "That's wild specific," and I'm like,
Well, mainly it would sound like this, innit? And it'll be amazing, really. And everything I say, my brain has to catch up after, but it's amazing.
but I love it. Like, she is my baby. She, like, even though Joshua Griggs read her first, that's kind of like my baby, my creation. And you will be expecting more of Sticker and some of the gang in the future. Ooh. Jimmy?
Now, see, this is the thing, is obviously off the top of my head, I would say agency, not because I've written him, but because I'd like playing him, but rather like, again, like Clarence, it's just my voice. So as much as they're fun characters to play, there's not really much of a voice challenge necessarily in them. So I'm inclined to say Bill Sykes, because I like playing a bit of a baddie's always fun. But it literally, just as you said it, Chelsea, then you said you've got to wait for your brain to catch up and things like that, and it's genuinely, and I've only discovered this recently, I think my favorite voice role is when somebody says, Jimmy, we need you to voice random person, because I do not know what is going to come out of my mouth until the recording, and there's been quite a few good, I've discovered there's some interesting voices I'm capable of on those grounds. So yeah, for me,
If you listen to Fairies of the Fracture, Torchwood's Fairies of the Fracture, there's an old lady on the phone that interrupts Alex's phone call, and that was just Jimmy, and we all had to mute ourselves because he's like, Beryl, is that you? It was so brilliant.
Yeah. So any character that even I don't know what they're going to sound like is always fun, because it's just I know if I do a voice and I know that people start laughing after I finish the scene, I know I've done well.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of the time when we say you're gonna like randomly do a voice, all of us like old hands automatically mute ourselves.
Yeah, we just mute ourselves before you even begin. And I'd be like, yep. It was like that other night we were doing one, and Jimmy had to do a random voice, and I was just like,
the fan
give me a minute.
in Time Turn. It was the fan in Time Turn.
Oh gosh. I was just like, give me a minute. I had to mute myself, and then I was like, oh. And then I had to do a random voice, so obviously Sticker was thrown into the mix.
Which of your characters has been the most fun to write?
Money in school, because it won't be me.
Molly.
Really?
Yeah, 100% Molly. Because she is, I know I was saying like Jenny's my baby, but she is my baby from birth. Literally, there was no like blueprints for Molly. She is all from my head. I literally know her from birth till death, which is depressing, but I do. And it's just been nice to, because she was supposed to be just a character in 4 episodes of Before Vastra, and like I remember when we finished it, I said to Chelsea, I was like, there's so much more to tell with this girl. And then obviously Molly 1 came out, and then Molly 2, and then she's basically become a regular in the Pat Gang series. Even though they're falling out right now, sad face. But no, Molly, And she's quite quick-witted as well. I think that's what I like about her. She's quite, like, feisty. She's quite feisty. But no, yeah, Molly's definitely my favourite character to write.
Oh, my wee heart.
Thanks, Jen.
Thanks, Jen.
I think for me, I would, again, the obvious one is agency because I've written the most of it, but I would genuinely have to say, actually, probably Traxia's been the most fun for me to write. Purely because the whole point of her was, the way I've always described her, and if you're a listener of Big Finish, you'll get this, she was Constance Clark meets Romana. Because I always wanted a companion character who was basically a companion character who was at the Doctor's level, not just intelligence-wise, but also, you know, physically. It's one of the things that often annoyed me about Romana in the classic series is she was meant to be really sort of, you know, intelligent and bright, and she still found herself in very, oh, Doctor, help me, peril, damsel in distress situations, and it always really annoyed me because you're cleverer than that, Romana. So I think for me, writing Traxia and creating that character has always been a fun one to do, for both Kath, who was her first incarnation, but obviously, minor spoiler alert, she is going to regenerate soon, and we have Catherine Cottrell coming in to play the second Traxia. She's
exclusive.
Already, she's already read over a couple of the scripts, and she's really good. But she's got a fantastic energy, and I think she's really going to bring it into the script. Yeah, I would definitely say Traxia out of all the ones I've written off, because I can't really think of that many more I've actually written for off the top of my head, if I'm perfectly honest. The only other one that the only one that's really sort of springs to mind is the few bits I've written for Nathan in Torchwood, and it's only because I hate that man so much. And I'm the one that's playing you, and I'm like, I hate you. And that, you know.
He's become our new Mr. B, hasn't he? Like, no.
But yeah, he's always fun to write for, just purely because it's like everything I'm writing is like, I can't wait for you to get your comeuppance.
I don't know for me, because right, so I've written the reanimated, right, lads. Let's be honest, it's not all sunshine and rainbows over there. Before the reanimated is even worse. I've partaken in a few other things.
Co-writing. The Touched, like Clarence.
No, you know what I do love about, like, the scene that sticks with me is whenever the tower's on fire. And this is one of those moments where me and Abby are on like a video call. We're also writing the script at the exact same time, and for me, I was hungry during that time, so I mentioned spuds in the script because I was wild starving. And then I randomly talk about pterodactyls.
Pterodactyl, darling.
Yeah, it's like the dinosaur that begins with a P, but no, T, but it's actually a P. And I was just like, pterodactyl, my dear. There's not one character I can pinpoint down, but ultimately I would have to say the Touched, but also the side of like the kids from the reanimated series, because I give them all different type of personalities. I named them all after Alice in Wonderland characters, and I thought, you know what, like, there is certain elements that they take from these characters and they delve into, and like, and, you know, keep it part of their personality. It's just not a name. So like, even though they may meet a tragic demise, whilst they were alive, they were quite fun to write. Yes, I just like to dibble dabble into a lot of scripts, really. But yes, that is me. The next question 5. Can you give us a sneak peek into any upcoming audio projects or series?
Well,
Abigail.
we mentioned Time Turn. So I say, by the time this comes out, the trailer will be out. But basically, it stars Joanna Baker, and Eleka Villages, and basically that it's the age-old concept, the Freaky Friday concept of people switching bodies. The only difference with this one is one girl's from now and the other girl is from the Tudor period. So that's been fun to work on. It's recorded, it's edited, it's waiting in the TT wings to go up on Premiere. What else are we working on?
We've got more of the Metal Doctor. We've got more of the Metal Doctor coming up. What else? We got Metal. We got more of Touched.
I'd say that was going to be mine. We've got a Touched Christmas special coming out, which we originally envisioned as a 15-minute sort of short story, and then we started doing a little sort of prequel series that we never. I don't want to give away too much information. We started doing a little prequel series for the Touched, and we thought, can we integrate these stories into the little Christmas special? And the script immediately went from about 10 pages to 35 pages.
Yeah.
So it
Sounds about right.
So touched-wise, we have 2 more episodes that are yet to be recorded but will be out soonish. And then the Christmas special. As Chelsea said earlier, we do have more sticker, and not necessarily all within the concept of the stickerverse, let's say. We shall ponder.
I'll be here. Sticker will be there. Don't you worry.
She will be. So yeah, that's going to be a fun concept when it does come out. What else we got? Myself and Vanessa Macaulay are currently writing a series called How We Survived, which is a kind of side note to the War of the Worlds. Here you go. I'll say do this, okay? I will put a link. Future me. This is me telling myself to put a link. Chelsea made a teaser for
I was sitting there
2025.
thinking I forgot about that.
Chelsea made a teaser for 2025, which has got visual elements and visual teasers of what we have coming out this year. So I highly recommend you go give that little snippet a viewing.
So, question 6. What has been the biggest challenge in producing audio dramas?
Getting everybody in for a recording date.
Yeah. Because as we always say on these things, TT do things a little bit differently. So we tried to get everyone in on Zencaster, which is what we're recording this on, and basically perform it like a play, because then you can bounce off one another. You know how the person's responding. You can feed off their emotions. Yada yada yada. But sometimes you just have to face the fact that you can't necessarily get everybody in at once. For example, we've literally just recorded something that I will not tell too much information about right now. But 3 members of cast could not be there, so I've had to kind of individually sit on Zen with them and direct them. So they would still be doing it live. Just not with the rest of the group. So sometimes, luckily, I have no life, so most evenings I am free. Yes, but that's TT-wise, that's probably the biggest challenge, because we're quite lucky because we don't have the concept of having to chase people 4 lines. It's not very often we find ourselves in that sort of situation, which a lot of other channels do have to. Can you send me those lines in by the 12th? We don't tend to have to deal with that side of it. Mic quality.
Yeah.
I get like, we get that we don't pay people. We get that. And we get that if you're new, we understand if you haven't got like an amazing setup. But mic quality wise, if you do join TT, speak to one of us. We will send you a link to a microphone that literally costs 30 quid. And it works wonders. So yes, definitely microphone quality.
I'm trying to think what else. Trying to find the right footstep sound effect.
Oh my god. So we pay for Epidemic Sound. Some of our audios we use their music, some we don't, and most of the time the SFX we use over there. But as all of us are audio editors, and it does get to the point where you're sat there listening to 200 different footsteps on grass.
I'm inclined to say the biggest challenge, personally for me, the biggest challenge is the general editing process. Because one of the things, I love writing it, I love recording it, I love the finished thing. I hate editing things, and yet the amount of times where I'm sat there listening to it, I'm enjoying it whilst I'm listening to it, up until the point where I've got to press stop and carry on the editing. And even I just sit there for ages, like I've just got to get that. It's just move that up slightly, play. Stop, move it. Play.
Oh yeah.
It's just I think that's the biggest challenge for me. But that being said, I take it as a good challenge because it's one of those things that, again, I've to put this in the context of something else. I've always said, like, I make a lot of custom figures, as you can see. But the thing I've always said is, the more time and patience you put in, the better the results will show. And it's exactly the same with the audio edit. Is if you put in the time and the effort into the small things, again, like finding the right footsteps, you might be sat there for an hour trying to find the right ones, but eventually you'll hear one, you just go, that's it, and you'll know, and it'll just really just make the whole thing just stand out more, and you'll think that's exactly what I did. So I would say the biggest challenge genuinely is probably just patience.
Yeah. No, I get you.
How do you balance sound design, music, and dialogue to create an immersive experiences?
So one thing I've always said, because a lot of the TT editors I did train from the ground up, Chelsea. One thing I always say is set your scene before you add the voices. When you put a stage play, you organise the props on the stage and the backdrops first. So essentially, I say build the room from the ground up. Does this room have a wooden floor? Does this room have a fireplace? Is this room scaffolding? You know, is it a big room? Is it a small room? Is it like a church? Like, think about all those concepts before you start editing the scene. Are we outside? Is it Victorian London? Can there be cars? You know, little things like that. That's how I personally make things immersive. And a lot of my stuff I edit is Victorian/Edwardian London. So you always find, whenever you're in a room for my edits, the fireplace is always on the right hand side. Because we try not to have everything. The same we say in TT is flat editing. We try not to do flat editing, and that's essentially where all the sound is in both ears. So in my thing, like I say, you'll walk into the room, the fireplace is on the right hand side, Strax is making tea on the left hand side, and all of us are stood in the middle. That's how I personally do it. Sound design and music, I'd say, and dialogue, it's all very hit and miss. I have like notes pinned everywhere around my station, like don't put your music above 14.5 and stuff like that. But it is very much a trial and error process, and it does come from experience at the end of the day. You're not going to get it right first thing, you know. But we do, within TT, we do this thing called second ears. So say if Jimmy edits something, he'll send it into our management chat, and me and Chelsea will have a listen with our little notebooks and pens, and give him notes like somebody's footsteps are too loud, or, you know, little things like that, music's too loud, or I can't hear what they're saying. So it's very much, we kind of support each other within the editing, because you do miss things. You do miss a door closing, and why is that character hovering? Have they not walked into this room? You know, you do miss things like that.
If you're listening to something constantly back and forth, eventually, you know,
you're going to miss things.
Yeah. Well, one of my more recent edits, which may or may not be out by the time you see this, was the Sixth Doctor and Vampires episode. And there was a bit in that where I was listening back to it, and I know I sent you guys the edit, and I revised it a couple of times. But the very first revision I did, I finished it, listened to it at work, and there was a gap of about 20 seconds when nobody said anything because I'd moved the thing on. I'd moved it on, and when I was editing it, I think, right, that sound edits, that finishes there, and then I'd moved on to the next bit, and I hadn't realised that I'd left this gap in the middle. And I'd been listening to this thing 2 or 3 times during the edit, and I just never noticed this 20-second gap of silence.
The one thing me and Chels get, because we share an audition, is reactivated tracks. Isn't it? You'll be listening back, and all of a sudden you'll be like, why can I hear breathing and shuffling? And then you go back and look on the edit, and the track's just randomly reactivated itself. We're like, cheers. Thanks, Adobe.
It was, I remember one of the first edits I done, and I thought, oh, I'm really proud of this. This is great. And it's like one of the first full-length ones that I done. And I thought, oh, we'll get everybody on like a call, and
Was that the
you know, they
importance
can
of being
listen.
Strax?
No, this was modus operandi.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a scene, and Connor Chadwick was in it. Now, I had to put like an effect on his voice, or something like that. Or no, I had to put an effect on his voice because he was playing another character or something, and it had to be slightly robotic. Now, what I didn't know is that I selected the whole entire track, so it didn't matter if I cut it. Yeah, so I didn't. I selected his entire lines throughout that entire like segment of where it is, and so whoever's lines I put in this line would become the robot voice. And there was a lovely scene that was going on, very heartfelt, and all you hear was "Woo, woo, 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 woo," and I was like, what? That's not right. And then there was another one that I had to edit, and it was Jenny and Strax, or Vastra and Strax, and they're in the carriage and whatever. And all of a sudden, a gunshot goes off, so it sounds like Strax shot Vastra or shot the horse. And they were like, Chelsea, what's that gunshot? And I'm like, I don't know.
How did that get there?
I don't know where that gun came from. But it's very funny. Whenever you get an opportunity and you show your edit to people, but if something does go wrong, it's something to just laugh about. Oh, but Strax shot a horse. It was whenever he says, yeah, and then went boom.
Check your edits, guys. Right. If you could collaborate with any actor or creator, who would it be and why?
This might be the most difficult question to answer.
Do you reckon that means, like, I'm not saying that we're not actors, but do you reckon that means, like, actual actors?
Probably. Maybe. We'll go for that.
I'd love to work with Jodie Comer. It would never bloody happen. But she is a queen. And her vocal range is crazy. And the thought of having her in an audio drama. She could do a one-man play by herself, to be. I think she has done a one-man play by herself, actually. She's crazy good.
Miriam Margolyes.
Oh my god.
I
yes.
love Miriam Margolyes. I would definitely, if I had the opportunity to work with that woman, I would be very grateful. I swear. Troy Baker as well.
Yeah, Troy Baker.
I was about to say Troy Baker, but in all seriousness, so Troy Baker is over that. But in all seriousness, because I just reckon our recorder, if we did it on a recording, it would be an absolute carnage, but it would be hilarious. Would be Greg Davies from Taskmaster. I just think that would just, I just feel like that would just, it would just be so much. We would get more outtakes than you would anything else, but it would just be really fun.
Like, creator-wise, like, do you think, like, other channels?
That's what I was...
I would just love to do more, because I see a lot... People, whenever they say about voice acting, the instant thing that they think of is gamey, cartoony type things, whereas we're very, like, grounded and very like realistic, and we embody the emotions of characters and other people.
Apart from Sticker.
But that's something else. That's different. But like, I have like heard audios from other people who are very like ourselves. Like they do things realistically, but with like animated charm. But I would love to work because I done an animation. I voiced in an animation last year, and it's called The Raven's Curse by Studio Slam, and they are an absolutely amazing bunch of people. And I joined them. A lot of my roles and characters happened by accident, and this was one of those things. But I'd love to do more animation. I would love to do that, and either like a video game. I think every voice actor wants to be a voice in a video game, and like a playable character, and it's like, just gotta put your name out there. Sometimes it happens by luck, happens by chance. But yeah, I think like Naughty Dog games, find me, Rockstar, hey. Do you have a favorite episode or story that you've produced so far?
I probably am going to have to say Agency Doctor Steam Revolution, purely because I think that was the first audio that I'd done in a long time, both not just writing but genuinely as an edit, that I was really genuinely sat back and thought, do you know what, I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud of the way that I balanced the sound and, you know, the music and the immersion of that. And I think that was, for me, that was definitely one of those ones that it sort of really, I think like probably like a lot of people who do editing and things like that, it's sort of, you do doubt yourself from time to time. You think, you know, with that, and every now and again I'll re-listen to that and I think, do you know what, you produced this is, you can do this, you've proved it to yourself. And so it's really sort of one of those things that it's a favorite for me, just purely because if I'm ever having a moment where I'm doubting my own skills, I can actually go and listen back to something and just give myself that boost again. So I think, yeah, from a favourites perspective, it's always, I think it's nice to have something like that gave a real sense of accomplishment. Not that I haven't felt that with other audios, but just very much specifically with that one for me.
So I'm going to be cheeky here, and I'm going to answer it twice because I've written too much. But like, who Paternoster-wise, I'm going to say Into Insanity. One, because it was my first Paternoster episode. Two, that shit is crazy. If you've not listened to it, the basic concept is basically there's a doctor called Dr. Zamet who basically, like, you know, like Return to Oz when they have Dorothy and they're electrocuting her. That's essentially what it is. He's basically doing that to Jenny and making her think that Vastra's not real. It's all just been an illusion inside her head. So it's kind of like mental, like, what's the word?
It's very much mental torment.
Mental torment on Jenny's part. It's a proper messed up audio, but I'm really proud of it. And not who wise, I'm gonna say Green Door, and that's not because it's new. That's not because of that at all. I generally feel like it's one of the best things I've written, and it shocks everyone because it's not got a depressing ending. So, you know, maybe I'll start writing happy stuff now. But Green Door. The actors were phenomenal. Like, it was a joy to edit, and I love building upon characters, even on like the one-offs. Like, I don't want characters to be flat, and I am generally so invested in the girls in Green Door that I don't be surprised if I end up writing more with them. There's nothing planned as of yet,
I'm waiting for it. I'm just waiting for you to turn up with a script, being like, I have a side story for every single character that was in there.
Literally, this is the problem, because this is, well, it's not a problem because this is basically how Molly happened. But I'll write these characters and I'll be like, I want more of this character, and that's essentially the cliche I've fallen into with Green Door. But yeah, Green Door and Into Insanity.
Be on our group. We'll just be on our little management chat, and me and Chelsea, we'll just get a little emoji that's just a green door, and we're like, okay, it's happening, right?
It's happening. That's the go ahead. That's it. See, that's it. Most of the stuff that I have written have been zombies, but I am very, very proud of the most recent episode of the Reanimated. The last two episodes were very, very gut-wrenching, very hard to deal with, and it's really weird because a lot of people don't realize that a script can help you through really like a lot of stuff. It can help you a lot, and like during that time I was going through a lot myself, so, and coinciding, the thing that I was going through, one of my characters was going through, so I was able to not only help my character but help me at the same time with writing. So it was great that way. It was absolutely amazing because it helped me through that time. And yes, it has a very dramatic ending, but hey, we love a dramatic ending, boys. That's all I have to say. But yeah, definitely the latest episodes of Before the Reanimated. No,
But
just
saying-
the Reanimated.
The Reanimated. Saying about a lot of the time writing is therapeutic. It kind of distracts your brain, and
Yeah.
it's your way. It's people's way of helping themselves out via other characters. Say Into Insanity, like I wasn't getting electrocuted and stuff, but spoilers. When I initially started up TT, I wasn't mentally very well at all, and that, in all honesty, is probably a projection, you know, within that audio. But it definitely does help in that way.
I find a lot of people write from experience, not actual the themes of, well, you haven't been electrocuted as far as I know, like, you know.
Draw on.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's the emotional
Anecdotes.
experience, and it's very therapeutic, you know. Like sometimes you want to scream and shout and let it all out, but you can't. But you can make your character do that, and it's great. But I think the most rewarding thing is writing something, and then you actually live get to be able to hear it being said at that time, and you're like, wow. It's just like your words come to life, and you just build a life for people, like around 4 people in that way. You can't beat it.
I think this is another thing that we enjoy within like the TT world, is the fact that when we do write the stuff, we are there to witness the actors kind of taking on the role and reading our words. And I remember when both of you have definitely experienced it, but when the first time people are doing your script, you're bricking it, you're absolutely bricking it, and then they do it and you're like, oh my god, like it's actually happened, it sounds brilliant. It's undescribable how much joy you get from that first, oh my god, they're recording my like my words, you know.
I think that's why I'm glad I got the Before the Reanimated series, because I heard that, like, I get that new experience every single time. Like, I write and we cast, a cast full of people, and I'm like, oh, they're reading my words. And
I will say this as well.
I
will say this as well. Before the Reanimated, as Chelsea said earlier, is our way of giving people that stepping stone into the audioverse. So keep an eye out, because there's bound to be another one on the horizon at some point. If you want to dip your toe into Chelsea's audio series, I will say this: the last one we got over 40 people.
Yeah, it was about
writing
40, 45 for
Yeah, it
what?
was ridiculous for what, 6 characters?
No, 4.
4
4.
characters.
For 4
Um,
characters, there was over 40 something people.
So yeah, keep an eye open if you do want to kind of dip your toe into the TT verse, because we are always looking for new voices.
Definitely so. It's like the people that auditioned before that didn't get it, come back.
Yeah, return.
Come back, because like there's so many characters that we write for a lot of things, and there's going to be a time where we have somebody that we've just finished working with, and then we immediately think of them for another character, and they're like, here, have you listened to this? And then we'll play like a wee audio track or whatever, and that's it.
And the other day, Jane the Ripper obviously came out in October, starring Rebecca Hodge, and literally Chelsea found Rebecca Hodge
I found
before the
Hedge.
animated ones. Yeah,
Yep.
good old Hedge. But we've literally just recorded something with one of the other people, I won't say who, from the second before the reanimated, so it's definitely a way to open the door into this particular company.
It's also worth saying as well that even if you don't necessarily get picked for something, there's a good chance that we will hear your voice and we think, okay, don't work for that character, but we like your voice, and we're going to remember your voice. I think that's happened a few times where it's kind of like, you've had someone who's like, oh, we need to use this person in something. Not this, but
Us digging through emails being like, I need to find who this was.
Without like saying too much about this particular person, but carrier bag.
Yes. Carrier bag.
You
That's
will
all
see.
we'll say.
Yeah, carrier
know.
bag.
Just carrier bag. You know who you are.
So, question 10. What software or equipment do you use for recording and editing? Sponsorship, Sub-Zero microphones. Yeah, I mean, we really do have to, I think it's very varied, but I think if there's one thing we do have genuinely in common for usage, it is the Sub-Zero.
Yeah.
SZC600, personally.
Anything between the 300 and the 6, depending on budget.
And like, what, the 300 is like about 30 quid?
Yeah.
Maybe less. We get them off a site at Gears for Music, and we get the Sub-Zero microphones, and I think everybody has gone over there to get these microphones because the quality is brilliant. Very sensitive. The 600s I find are very sensitive, so I'm only using them at a 12% capacity. Because I used to pick up conversations from the next door neighbour. But
I think I'm currently sitting about 5%, because I think when you set mine up, Chelsea said, I've got mine set to 12, and I was like, okay, I'll set mine to about 25. Put my headphones on, I was like, hello?
Yep. Like, it is a brilliant microphone, very durable as well. Hold on.
Here's one she made earlier.
Here's one I made earlier.
Microphone ASMR.
But it is an absolutely brilliant microphone. And this, Abatha got me this from Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon, yeah.
Amazon. Very
A lot
durable.
of us have got sound boxes.
Sound boxes. I definitely need them for the amount of cows and dogs that are living around here.
I will say this, I'm quite lucky. They have got like sound boxes and stuff, but I basically, like I've said this before, I've basically got a Harry Potter cupboard under the stairs that's covered in foam, and then my microphone is in there. This is not my recording mic. This is my interview and directing mic. So yeah, I'm lucky enough to have 2 microphones at my disposal. But yes, recording equipment wise, all of us have got Sub-Zeros.
And software wise, personally, I use Audacity because it's free. And it does have all of the sort of functions and things on it, but I do want to upgrade to some point into, now what is it, which one is it use? Adobe Audition, which I know is generally what you guys use for yours. It does, I have to say, even I will admit, it does produce better results.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I just use Audacity because it's free.
Yeah, so me and Chelsea use Audition, as we said. I feel like you have a lot of control over there. As opposed to other systems that I know other people use. and it's got loads of presets, which makes our lives 20 times
Mhm.
easier.
Oh,
with every
100%.
preset.
But I do think that a lot of people, whenever they look at our setup for law, to be to try voice acting, you don't have to break the bank. You
No.
don't have to. Like, yes, you'll see people with Rode microphones, and I've seen a lot of people holding voice acting auditions and things like that. And it's the very specific. Well, yes, we have requirements ourselves. We would like it to be an MP3 format. Please use a microphone, and that's about it.
Because a lot of companies, they won't accept USB mics,
They
whereas
want
we
it,
all
yeah.
use USB mics.
Yeah, we like. There's only some of us who have, like, Abby. You have
Interface, yeah.
your interface, whereas I'm using a USB. And
Mm.
a lot of
Just
people
as
think,
good. It's
oh,
just as
that
good.
must be exactly. But I think a lot of people think, oh, you have to like fork out like a couple £100 for a good microphone. No,
No.
I got this, and I think at least it was about 50 at the time,
But that was with
because
the
I
arm
think
and everything, wasn't it?
that was with my arm and everything. But yeah, if people are looking for microphones and they want like places to like try and look at, I would definitely go for Gears for Music. Search up USB Sub-Zero microphones, and they are brilliant. There's other ones that you can get as well, but I would definitely go towards the Sub-Zero because you can't really get that quality anywhere else.
No, it
It's
is
just
good.
good quality, and it's like good
My
reputation.
my
It's
only
durable.
my only big word of advice for anyone who does want to go on this path is pop shields.
Yes.
Like, that you need a pop shield. Like, you could have you could have a Rode microphone, but if you've not got a pop shield, yeah, you're gonna struggle to produce a nice quality of sound. Obviously, like, if it's your first time and you're just using a gaming headset, that's
Mhm.
fine. That's grand. Just please don't breathe down it.
Yeah, just a wee bit away.
Yeah,
But that's why I
yeah,
like these boxes,
yeah,
because like, sometimes you'll need to like whisper.
yeah.
Just go ahead and give her a whisper.
But
And
the pop shields are basically they're like things that go in front. Have I got one down
mhm.
here? The things that go in front of
Just
the
the
mic.
There
Yeah,
we
there we
go.
go. But basically, whenever you do puzz and tuzz and suzz and stuff like that, it gets rid of the popping sound that your mouth makes. So yeah, that's my like biggest concern
Like
when
wee
it
pet
comes to a
peeve.
microphone. Yeah. Like, why can I
Mhm.
hear your peas, Hedge? What have you been doing? She's like, I forgot to put my thing on. I'm like, oh no, I can tell. How dare you? Um, and video editing wise, I think we all use different things, do we not?
Mhm.
I use Final Cut Pro because that came basically with my laptop. But before that I use iMovie. Again, it comes as standard. It's not a necessarily specialized piece of software. I think again it's one of those things that again it's I think the fundamental thing with all of these is we all use different things, but I think it doesn't matter what software you're using, whether it's free or whether it's something paid. The most important thing is you need to know it. You need to know the software, get to grips with it, and the better you know it, the better again your quality
Yeah.
will be. Because it's all well and good. It's all well and good having something that's got all the bells and whistles, but if you don't know how it works, there's
Mhm.
no point. You know.
I will say this because so basically, say we audio edit on Audition and
Audacity.
and then that audio edit goes into our video editor, and then so we don't necessarily edit the sound within our video editor. Like, everybody has their own way to do things. That's just how we do it on the TT side.
Yeah, it's just taking it in stages, really.
Yeah. I used to use Premiere Pro, but my laptop does not like Premiere Pro, so
Mhm.
I do not use Premiere Pro. I now use Filmora, which works wonders for me. I use it for my vlogs as well. So yeah, that's what I use to upload to YouTube.
I've only, because I used to use Premiere Pro as well, but I do not anymore. And I was looking to see which ones would be great that were free. And then I came across DaVinci. And The first thing I edited on DaVinci was the coming soon to 2025, and I loved it. It was like a really great thing because it had things, and what I love is how they separate your options of what you want to do. Not everything is flashbang on the screen. So I'm still coming to terms and like, getting to know it and getting to know how to do it. But like everything is like set up in different little stages for you. So if you wanted to color correct, there's a button there and it'll take you to the tab and everything. So I like the way it's all set up so it's like easier that way. I've just always learned in Audition. Abby was the one who taught me about Audition and I was just like, yes, this shall be me for the rest of my days. Thank you very kindly.
So, how long does it typically take to produce an episode from script writing to release? I think I probably need to answer this one. So, honestly, it varies. Sometimes it will take months, sometimes it will take a couple of weeks. It honestly depends on what sort of brain situation I'm in. Because I've written some scripts and they've been out within like 2 months. The thing is now with the TT stuff, we're really far ahead of ourselves. As an example, Green Door came out in February. That was recorded October, November sort of time. So there tends to be a longer wait nowadays than there was 2024, but that's because we've reshaped how things are. Oh, hello, hit my mic. We reshaped how things are. But yeah, honestly, it varies.
Talking about the reanimated, that took like a whole year for the next episode.
Well, this is the thing as well. I don't release dates. We do have a list, like a penciled in list as to when we would like things to come out, but we are relaxed and they're not set in stone. And if you are given a release date and you message me and you're like, look, I can't make that day, it will just change. But obviously from an outside POV, people don't see the carnage that happens behind the curtain.
Usually we're quite good because we can like swap around.
That's
we
the
have
thing,
that ability
yeah.
to swap things around that we have recorded and have like set in stone, and we'll be like, oh well, you can just swap around. It'll be grand. It's because we do have like our allocated days of I can't remember off the top of my head who's who and what's what, but we have our allocated days where it's like Monday.
Like Metal's got Mondays, we know that much.
Metal Mondays, hey.
Metal Mondays, and then I most of the stuff that I produce is Wednesdays and Sundays. Agencies is Tuesdays, yeah. So that kind of helps, so we don't clash.
It's also worth saying as well that we sort of. We understand everyone works different. Everyone's got their own individual commitments, personal commitments, things like that, but it's also everyone works differently when it comes to audio. So it could be that you might get a script done really quickly and then it will get the recording done, and more often than not, I'll hold my hands up to this, half the time an edit will be maybe the week before it will get done, because I'm one of those people, I've got to sit there, I can't drop in and out of it, I need to sit there and just plow through it.
Yeah.
So I think it's one of those things, but again, it works as well, because I think by doing that as well, there's a lot of times where I've certainly learned a lot of things from watching you guys edit and do things like that, because I think, oh, actually, why didn't I do that? Or I need to think about doing that first of all and earlier. And we do have that good sort of dynamic of everyone, it's an odd way to put it. Everyone works together well because everyone understands that everyone works differently.
Yeah.
No, I get that.
I'm just obsessed with me hidden honks being added to nearly everything. That's how I know I have to concentrate well, is just like get the hidden honk in there, make sure nobody notices. Right, so what's the weirdest or funniest behind the scenes moment you've experienced?
I mean, that's a long list. I don't know about funniest, because there are a lot to choose from, but I think genuinely the weirdest one for me, or at least the one that was weirdest in the sense, was the very first time I was ever doing live action, and I was like, oh yeah, you've got to slap me full in the face. I was like, do you want to like fake? No, just go for it. So that was a weird experience, my first ever bit of live action acting, and it's like, yes, one of my best friends, yes, I want you to slap me in the face.
You had to do it twice as
I
well.
had to do it, and I had to do it. That was the worst thing. Literally the first time I did it, I slapped your earring out of your ear.
I've got stretchers in my ears, and I had like these little metal ones in, and he smacked my face, and this earring just went wee. So we had to redo it.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, that's definitely been one of the more. But it's. I have to say as well, it's good because it was nice to be in a situation where I was with people I felt comfortable, and everyone was comfortable with stages of that, of what we were doing. Everyone was aware of what they were, where we were doing it, how.
And during whenever Yins were doing it, all of us were hiding in one room, and we could hear what was going on, and we were like, and then we heard the smack, and then the earring. You could hear a pin drop, you could hear an earring drop, and we were like.
I hasten to add, this is in the first live action Torchwood that is out now.
I would say if you go and watch that, the slap, that's not a sound effect, that's the actual sound. That was definitely my weirdest thing that I've had to do so far. Definitely. Funny is going to be a very, very long list. So I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but invariably there's bound to be many.
See, a lot of my bloopers are because of my dyslexia. I am a dyslexic writer, and I literally put that in my like Twitter handle and everything, so I don't shy away from it. But there'll be things such as most of the lines of which Chelsea has had to say, bless her. So in the sixth Doctor episode that was set in Egypt, I've forgotten the name of it now. She played Harriet Featherstone von Smythe, the most poshest person who did ever posh. And the line was the line was ancient scrolls, but I'd written accident scrolls, and Chelsea's never let me live down accident scrolls. I'm like, cheers,
or
babes.
There's the one that's most recently, I won't mention what it's for, but mayonnaise female.
Mayonnaise females. It's supposed to be mysterious, but it wasn't even written as mayonnaise. It literally looked like it was French. And Chelsea's like, what does that mean? I was like, oh.
I was like, Miss Sweet?
Miss Sweet females.
I have to say, in your defense, you've used your dyslexia so many times to my favorite one was when I was directing you as Dickensian, and you had a really long speech, and you kept kind of making mistakes, and it got to the point where I was just like, just do it, and I was there, you were just rambling on, and you kept getting those. I was like, no, keep it going, this works for the character, keep it going.
This is one reason why Dickensian was a bit of a klutz, because I just can't read, and the speed that you have to read a doctory kind of speech, my brain doesn't work that quick. So the fact that she stumbled over her words and sometimes had to correct herself was genuinely because I was going, oh rubbish, I am the Doctor right now and I can't read this fast. Like, if you go over to Dwem and listen, I've got another Doctor over there called Constellation, and I've deliberately made her really slur when she talks, purely because I don't want to end up in the same sort of situation I did when I started Dickensian.
The point is, we all have these things. This is the point, is we work with it. I think a lot of people, if let's be honest, I'm going to be perfectly blunt here, if we were more serious, we'd probably get more annoyed when we make our mistakes, things like that. But this is the beauty. I love the way that we record things, and this is where we get some of the weirdest and funniest things behind the scenes, is we just have a laugh and we just relax.
That's what I love about the recording as well. It's just, like we do take our craft quite seriously. Like, we are committed actors at the end of the day. However, one thing I love about Zencastr is that if there is a blooper, or there's something random that we're talking about and we accidentally hit record and we record that moment, it's just like, it's it's about having the fun, and we laugh with everyone, and it's just, it's something that you don't get everywhere else, and it's just great. And then you get a bunch of new people and everything, and you just join in on the absolute chaos.
It's a great icebreaker, especially for
Oh,
new
I
people.
100%.
So, are there any specific themes or genres you'd like to explore in future projects?
That's not the next question.
Is
Yes,
it not?
it is.
Yes, it is. Oh, there's 2 13s. Welcome to dyslexia.
Oh, that's alright.
There's 2 13s. Also, you'll note that at the start of this video, I said there was 18 questions. Well, now there's 20 questions, but now there's not. Now there's 21 questions because there's 2 13s. Dyslexia.
Right, well, there we go. We got 2 13s.
Okay. So, 13A. Are there any specific themes or genres you'd like to explore in future projects?
No.
I think you've covered them all, Abigail. I think the next one... No. I don't know. I'd like there to be a bit of a TT musical. Just
We have
saying.
discussed the musical on many an occasion.
I
to be
know,
fair.
but I think would be so good. And even if we get people that don't sing, we know people who know Origin. It's good crack. Like, I think we'd be great at a musical. And even if we done either a well-known musical or done musical on our own, or so, like, no harm, Sweeney Todd, 100%.
Yes.
Definitely text me list. Like, imagine TT Les Mis.
How do you do? My name's Gavroche.
I think we should, like I said, I think we should just do. Everyone should pick a song from a musical or something, and we just do a medley, a TT medley.
Yeah.
Different songs from different musicals.
Oh, 100%. Definitely. Well, musical is definitely the top of my list because everything I write or am a part of is while sad and depressing. So a good musical will be... Oh my god, that's
I love that. I love the musical, not sad and depressing. I'm like, Les Mis.
No, Les Mis, Sweeney Todd. Okay, well, you know,
musicals.
depressing musicals with a bit of a bop. So that's what I do.
Yeah, no, I don't currently. I would kind of like, although I've kind of done it with Time Turn, actually. I was about to say, I'd kind of like, it sounds really stupid, to write something a bit modern. Because I don't very often write modern. As weird as it sounds, writing Torchwood and one half of Time Turn has opened my eyes to how much I don't tend to write modern stuff. I would like to do some Irish history, and I've spoken to Chelsea about this before. And we have enough Irish people to be able to do that, so that I'd love to do an audio to do with Irish history.
Represent.
So yeah, that's about it.
What about you, Mr. Jimmy Pie?
Well, I mean, I don't know really. The only thing that I've sort of got in the wings, which again I'm still sort of in the process of putting together and writing, is my sort of horror. I don't want to give too much away. I'm planning a horror series, which because I'm again big horror fan, so it's going to be very sort of inspired by a lot of Radio 4 horror dramas, Ghost Story for Christmas kind of thing. So yeah, I'm a good lover of horror. So that's definitely one that I'm hoping to explore further in future.
How do you approach character development in your audio dramas?
Accidentally.
Yeah, actually, I was literally just thinking how. I think of something and then I do it. You know, that's good. I would say accidentally. Actually, that's it. That's good.
This is why we're not professionals.
What? Like, well, if you're talking about, like, you know, if you've been playing a character for a long time, your own character development is kind of, how do I explain it? As you play your character and you go through the things that they're going through, there's this automatic, like, progression and this already development and great understanding of your character. Like, for me, Molly was, you know, it's a character that I hold very close to my heart. It's like my first TT my first TT character that I got cast in, and it's kind of like the same as like Julia Breslin with Overton Audios.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I hold these two women very close, and they can't be any much different. They're completely different, but I hold them very close to my heart, and because of everything, the struggles and everything that Molly has been through, I have been on that journey with her. So it's kind of like that automatic progression, and you can kind of just like get into it. But like, I think whenever you're writing something, you know, it's kind of having, it's very sad. Like for me, I only write sad stuff, but usually I'm going through a sad moment. So it's like, you know, some people use like, you know, like real life events to like invoke whatever you're feeling.
Yeah.
And you can kind of put that onto a character, and it's kind of like a self-reflection type thing, because I've used that before. But it's just one of those things that, you know, it can be an accident and come out of the blue. And sometimes it works for the best. Most of the time it works for the best. But I really enjoy it either way.
I think it's a fair thing to say. And I mean this. It sounds like a joke, but I mean this in total seriousness. It's almost, you use your character development, whether it's just characters you're writing that you are going to play or characters you're not. It's a form of therapy.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Just purely, you know, like what you said then about, you know, if you're feeling sad, you write sad things, and it's very much like that. You think, you know, how you might be going through something and you think, well, this isn't what the character's going to go through, but it's like, what am I feeling right now? How would the character feel in that situation, that same sort of thing? And it does, you know, there's quite a few times I think where there's, you know, it's sort of like, you can tell. I mean, you listeners and viewers will not be able to tell, but there's definitely moments where, especially between the three of us, because we know each other so well, there's moments when I was like, well, no, I read something or I listen to something that one of you two have done, and I was like, I know what was going through your head at that point. But in a really good, positive way, because I look at it and think like, you know, I understand what was going on there, and you know, I know you know how you're feeling, but I look at it and think like, but that to me says that you've not bottled it up. You've let it out. You've let it out in script form, but you've let it out. And I think that's a very positive thing.
See, I'd say, because of the season 2 of Torchwood is not out yet, but there's a lot that Alex is going to go through in season 2, which is very much a projection of like my PTSD and all that stuff. So you definitely do have like that character that you do put elements of your life into. When it comes to me writing original characters, I tend to start with their faults. I tend to go, what's bad about this person and do they improve? Like, without spoiling Time Turn, Tara, who's one of the girls played by Aleka, she's a social media influencer, and she's very kind of self-obsessed, and she's a little bit stroppy, and she's a little bit of a diva. So obviously those were the things I wrote down first about this particular character, and then it's like, right, do I have the time to improve on those faults, or is that going to stick with the character throughout this thing? And that's the way I tend to write it. Like Molly, people pleaser.
Yeah.
You know, like that's just the way I start with the negatives and then see if I can turn them into a positive. So that's kind of how I do it personally.
Next question. There. 14. Who or what are your biggest creative influences?
Hello, Big Finish.
Hello, Big Finish.
No, in all seriousness though. Yeah. I mean, we do have to give Big Finish props, definitely. I mean, in terms of audio and things like that, for me personally, obviously Big Finish for like Doctor Who stuff, but the risk of showing my age here, I was very much brought up with so my grandparents were big sort of enjoyers of older comedy that was around when they were in. So a lot of it was radio shows and things like that. So I grew up listening to a lot of things like that. And again, when I was younger and I wouldn't sleep very well, my mum and dad used to get me things on like cassette tape, whether it was, like a Wallace and Gromit, or I think one of the Harry Potters, or Lord of the Rings, or things like that. And so I would always put it on a cassette tape at night, and I would generally be falling asleep to it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's one of those things that, again, I've always liked an audiobook. I've always enjoyed listening to an audiobook as much as I like a film or a television, or whether it's an audiobook or an audio drama. It's just, I've always liked it because I am one of those people who likes background noise when I'm working.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, anything like that, any sort of audio drama and things like that, have always been a big part of my life. So it's difficult to sort of pin it down to one specific one. But I certainly think there's a lot of things over the years that I've sort of really listened to and picked up on, whether it's comedy, whether it's horror, whether it's drama. And I don't think I'd probably have the same interest in audio dramas if I wasn't for growing up with all of that huge genre of stuff.
Hello, Big Finish. A small audio company. Please notice us, thank you.
Have you ever considered adapting one of your audio stories into a visual medium? Not just a minisode, but actually bringing a scene you've already done to life?
Ooh.
It's a good one, that one.
As much as I know we would love to do something like that, it's a struggle enough to do the minisodes as it is.
Mm-hmm.
None of us live near each other. Chelsea lives on a field. Jimmy lives
We're
in
literally in a
another
triangle,
field.
basically. us
Yeah, we're
three.
in like a triangle, the Bermuda Triangle.
I say Jimmy's Devon, Chelsea's Ireland, and I'm bloody London. So like, and then obviously TT wise, we got people in Liverpool, we've got people in Scotland, they're everywhere. So
It's fair to say, we've got many locations to shoot in. We just have trouble getting there.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is the issue. And plus the time, because obviously, like, all of us have got jobs. I'm a mum, like, so trying to balance the traveling to a location, having the time to get to location, blah 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 blah. I say it's hard enough to do the minisodes, like, especially like, so we've already filmed stuff for Torchwood season 3, and that's purely because Aidan O'Connor, he also lives in Ireland. He lives in Southern Ireland, and because he was over, we had to basically do as much as we could with him while he was in the vicinity. So I say we've shot the stuff for season 3 of Torchwood, even though season 2's not out yet.
Yeah.
So
It's like
it would
once
be a
we do
pain.
meet up, we just jam pack it in as much as we can. Like, if there was an opportunity, and let's say I moved over to the English Isle, which would be well fun, so they can join us. Join us. Don't, because the amount of people that have said, "Oh, Chelsea, you can. It's feasible. I have food," and I'm like, why am I getting convinced?
It's always food.
There's always
That's
food, and you know
that's
what?
how we entice her. With various types of food.
We
It's
have
like I
food,
live
yeah.
by a Wingstop. Do you now?
Oh, do you? But I would love to do more metal. I would love to do metal in its own, because I've only taken pictures of metal once. But obviously you have to think about a TARDIS. And you have to think of a smaller TARDIS because it's shrunk due to my size.
Yeah.
Reference from the first episode. So trying to get a small TARDIS, but looks life-size to me, in comparison to me, would be quite fun. And seeing everyone else try and crawl through it. I'd love to do metal. I would also love for just to make my heart very nice, like Molly stuff. Molly and Jen stuff. But then you have to get Victorian, like a Victorian.
This is the thing. It's trying to find a location where it could pass for the 1800s. Like,
Right.
I know there's places out there, but you got to remember as well, we don't get any money out of this.
Yeah.
This is all funded off of our own backs.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I would love to shoot stuff in the hub for Torchwood, but we don't have a hub to use,
It's
nor
like
the
it's a
money
dream.
to rent a
It's
place.
a dream of ours. It's a dream of ours to do that. It's just obviously, you know, with how we do things, it's just not feasible. But always feel grateful for every like Minnesota, everything that we film, because it's just a great experience to be with, not even actors that you work like computer to computer way and recording that way, but to see them actually act IRL.
It's completely
IRL
different.
is different.
It's a completely different ball game. I mean, because me and Jimmy have filmed, and he slapped me. Me and
love it.
Chelsea have also done some filming in October for Torchwood. So it was nice because we'd never acted on screen before together, had we, Chelsea? That was our first time.
We done very briefly.
Yeah.
Very briefly with Dickensian.
Oh yeah, Dickensian. Yeah, but
apart from that, nothing.
Yeah, it is completely different. But I'd love to do Jenny and Molly and do like a period drama or the Touch.
dream.
Like
Touched, I would
that'd
love,
be awesome.
definitely love.
Daniel Patton VFX needed.
The thing is, you mentioned about saying like getting everyone together. That being said, there's one thing that you say adapting one of your audio stories is actually genuinely, and we've talked about doing this, and we may still do it, is actually just get us all together, almost like an old style radio show with microphones, and we perform something all together on camera, just lined up. Because what I would love is that it's not necessarily adapting an audio into a visual medium, but it would be a different visual medium because you could actually see how much physical effort we put into what we do at times.
So I want to film more because now we know that this system works for filming us. I would like to film more visual of when we do the audios.
Just everybody make sure your background's tidy.
Yeah.
Oh, I would love to do. We pick a story, any story, and we do it, and we release the story edited, and then 2 weeks later we record an unedited version. We then release, which might be like a 5-hour long video or something like that.
Well,
it would be completely unedited.
When we used to do the live recordings for Red Nose Day with the Pack Gang. Normally we release an edited version, and then after that we release like the Carnage version, as I like to call it.
But that's what I mean. Getting that on video would be fantastic.
Christ.
That's all. You know what? That's it. Next time we're recording something, we'll all dress as our characters. We'll go on here and we'll act.
Chelsea's there with a ginger wig on.
And it's not going to be even good ginger wig. It'll be like Ronald McDonald type of ginger wig. And I'll be like, hello, I am either Molly or Mad Hatter. You never know.
It'll just come out the packet and it'll just be like, toy maker. She'll be like, no.
No, I don't even know who I am anymore.
Don't even know.
Oh.
Right. What advice would you give to someone wanting to create their own audio dramas?
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Everyone's got to start somewhere. Everyone has to start somewhere.
The only thing I'd say is if you are going to have a go, just remember that you aren't going to get it right the first try. And it might be the writing, it might be the editing, it might be the overall concept. Practice makes perfect.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I said, everyone has to start somewhere.
Everything that you get wrong, you didn't get it wrong, you've learnt how to do something better. It's all about perspective. I think a lot of people would probably do something and it wouldn't necessarily get a huge result in the result that they wanted. But again, of course, you know, let's be honest, audio dramas, not just Doctor Who, but a lot of things, it's an incredibly oversaturated medium. There's millions, billions of different audio dramas out there, different people doing it and things like that, and it's always going to be an area that is difficult to find something that's not been done before. If you can do it your own way and you can get together the right people and the right edits and the right things like that, and it will just come together. It is a learning curve.
It takes time. It takes time for those sort of things, because I didn't even get on to the writing train or the editing train until very, very recently. And, you know, it is something that it's kind of something you learn from others. You see how people do it, and then you get ideas, and then you know how to write something or how a plot progresses. But one thing I do really think about is I think a lot of people who want to start something think that the people that they watch or the people they listen to are unapproachable. Because like Abby said before, like we do this out of the love for doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're just like anybody else who wants to do audio dramas. We want to have fun. We want to bring like audios and stories to people, and they think that like maybe we you can't message us or whatever, but you can if you
Yeah.
want advice on something, or you want even somebody to read over a script just to see, be like, oh, I got really inspired by this story, blah blah blah, you wrote it, would you mind reading this over?
Yeah.
We're just people at the end of the day. Yes, we have our own lives and whatever, but if somebody's asking for help, 100%. But I would
I will
say
say this
definitely
as
go for it.
well. Yeah, I'll say this as well. Even if you message one of us three
Mhm.
and we're not necessarily the right person for the job or we're too busy, like we are more than capable. Like if somebody wrote to me and went, I've written this Doctor Who script, can you look it over for me? I'd be like, right, I will look it over, but I'm not very clued up on the Who side, so
But we know people who are.
yeah,
That's the thing.
we could send it. Like Jimmy could look it over because he's our resident Who like
Is he?
expert.
You wouldn't know
How
by
did
that
you guess?
background. You wouldn't know by that background.
Never
Nothing.
would have guessed. But we have actually spoke about this, and don't take this as us doing it. It's still very much an idea we're kind of fluttering around of us kind of doing a write with us thing, or like an edit with us thing. So like we'll edit and we'll like show you how we do different things, and like a record with us thing. So that's something we have spoke about, so we can try and teach people, bearing in mind none of us have got qualifications in this. I think the closest one is Chelsea because she's got a
Right.
musical theatre degree, but like none of us are sound editors. We've very much learned on the job, but
Very much still
it
learning
is
in many
we're still
cases.
learning, but it is something we have kind of been pattering around the
Because
idea of.
there was that idea of like people asking us questions, like because I know that Twitter back in the heyday used to do like spaces. And people would come on and ask us questions. I know a lot of us now are on like Blue Sky and things like that. I don't even know if Blue Sky have like a talk space.
I don't know.
But if they do, or if there's like, even if we did like a live or somewhere on something, and if people wanted to ask us questions or even like join the boxes, then we're always happy enough to answer questions. I think it's a good opportunity to meet fellow people who make audios, fans of our stuff, and just have a wee chinwag.
Very much like 2025, we're trying to get more involved with the fans and very much kind of help the fans and make us, I say, we are approachable people. Like we are willing to help if we have the time. But yeah, TT.
I think actually I would say on a party note, that is one of the other things that I would say, just to give advice to people, is if you do approach somebody and they don't necessarily get back to you, don't take that as they're not interested as well. It's like I said, as we said, everyone's got their own lives. As I said, we've all got jobs,
and all of us have got ADHD as well, I hasten to add.
Yes. But this is the thing, is it comes back to that thing of patience. Is it could mean that you might message somebody and you might not hear from them from a week, and you think, oh well, they're not going to message back, and then you might get a message and it's really constructive. It really does. I think the thing, patience is the golden rule, I think, with a lot of this in many different avenues.
Right, so which fan feedback about your work has surprised you the most? Like, I know some people, like, I've gotten my fair share of not nice feedback, but, like, like, the good feedback is absolutely class. Like, I remember there was, in one of the metal episodes, there was a person who watched one of the metal episodes and commented and said that I have a lot of like traits of Eccleston and Jodie Whittaker when they were the Doctor, and they were like, she is the Doctor. And that's one thing, because I'm not the biggest Whovian out there. I've never watched a single episode of Whittaker, so don't be hating on me. But I watched Eccleston and Tennant. I stopped for ages, and I jumped back when Shitty got back. And like, literally I fell in love with Doctor Who all over again. So whenever I got that positive comment from somebody, it's something that I was always, scared of, because I don't know if the personality that I give metal is like me on Monster Energy drinks and Red Bull. It's like very energetic, very mad, but I wanted to make her likable, and like now we've come to like a serious point in the series, and I'm just so glad that people have given positive feedback. Metal's got also like some negative feedback as well. I think I can't remember exactly what it was, because I never try and focus on the negatives, but
wasn't it something
there
along
was
the lines of, why is there a female Doctor?
yeah, why is there a female
It was
Doctor,
that
or
usual ridiculous
mm,
reasoning.
But I remember the quote. I do remember the quote of the one thing that kind of stood out for all of us on one particular Metal Doctor positive comment was the whole, like, in regards to Chelsea, she is the Doctor, and I remember
mhm.
us being like, oh,
I think I did
thank
cry
you,
over it,
person.
I think I did cry, because it was just something that weighed very heavily on me, and I wanted to make sure I got it right. And I wanted to bring my own self to it, but I like the negatives, like the positive outweighs the negative. Not everybody's gonna
100%.
like what you produce. Not everybody's gonna like the female Doctor. That's fine, don't listen.
Yeah.
There's plenty of other people who do audios like Jimmy, who is like a male Doctor. You want that? Go you on ahead. But yeah, it's like, I don't understand why people put hate out there. For and it's just like, it's a person behind a screen. Just move on. But then you get a positive one, and you're like,
Yeah.
thank you, you've
Exactly.
made my day.
I say, Green Door wise, we've had a lot of positive feedback. A lot of positive
That's
feedback.
been amazing to see that level of feedback.
Mm.
I mean, as just someone who's performing in it, for you as a writer, I can't imagine how amazing it is. But
purely because, like, I don't take it to heart as much as I used to. The originals tend to get ignored on our channel, so it's quite nice to see something that's not Who kind of getting some love. Not saying that the Who doesn't deserve love, like that deserves love too. It's just nice and refreshing.
it's already got that's already got an established base, whereas with Green Door, you're literally building it from the bottom.
So that's been really nice. That's been really nice to hear. Yes. Just, I say, the only thing, like Chelsea was saying, like, never focus on the negatives.
Oh,
Always
never.
focus on the positives. And the other one that I get told all the bloody time, views don't matter.
Yeah.
You could get 10 views or you could get 1,000 views. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, as long as you're still enjoying the things you're making. As soon as you stop enjoying the hobby you are doing, it's not a hobby anymore.
Yeah.
The next question is, do you have a favourite sound effect or music cue you've used in your projects?
Yeah.
I mean, we know what Chelsea's answer to this is.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, yes. Right. So, sound effect. People should know this by now. If you listen to my stuff, there is a thing that I have been doing from the very beginning of my editing journey, and it is called a hidden honk.
I feel like you need to tell the origins of this.
Right, so the origin of the hidden honk was in an episode. It was a pat bite, and it was called Outcast Dead. It was like one of the first ones. I think it was the second one I've ever done. I still love it, even though I listen back to it sometimes and I'm like, Chelsea, you could have done that better. But hey ho, we learn. And there's a particular scene where Strax is carrying this device, and essentially it's kind of like an electric dictionary, and he's wondering what everything is. And Vastra comes up and says something about the Winchester geese, and Strax is like, geese, waterfowl. And it's like, so he goes on this wee dictionary and he's like, boo 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 boo, honk. And I thought, I'm keeping that. I find that so comedic. And he's like, so we're at a church for geese. And he's like, no, Strax, the Winchester geese were women. But I found this honk hilarious. That now I've added hidden honks throughout nearly every episode that I've edited. So it's always I put in the comments if it's like, a premiere, I always say, can you find all the hidden honks? The most I've put in an episode is about maybe 8. It's about 8 hidden honks, and nobody, not even Yuns who listen to my work, have found them all.
You always find the one towards the end.
Yeah, it's always the one. I have to give somebody one towards the end, and I usually add them in title sequences and during really, emotional times. But I've always had the hidden honks, and it's just a constant thing in my life now that I have a honk sound saved onto my computer so I can add it whenever I want. So yes, the hidden honk. Epidemic music.
So my favourite kind of sound effect that's ever been done in an audio was actually done by Chelsea again. Because everybody's so critical of their own work, so I'll big up Miss Lagan instead.
Oh.
So it was in Krampusnacht, and there's a character called Victor. There's a character called Victor, and basically it takes a while for the TARDIS translator to kick in, so you actually get to hear it like start to work after they land in Germany. And to start with, everybody speaking German, which was great with casting, as you can imagine. And as he starts talking, like Victor's voice starts to kind of like twist and turn, and slowly the German turns into an American accent. And it's so well done. It's brilliant. I absolutely love it. But yes, Krampusnacht. It's a fun audio. We like that one. So yeah.
But it's like the thing I wanted to show, because I've seen it throughout the time I've watched Doctor Who about the TARDIS translator or whatever you call it. But it never actually shows.
I generally think that's the first time it's been shown, like, starting to work.
Because everything's a bit weird with metal in this time anyway. During her journey. And I was just like, here, what if we actually showed the TARDIS actually translating? Which would be a great thing. So, big up to Victor. You know who you are. Who, was great at doing the German at the beginning, and then I got him to say the same line but in English, and then just the way it fitted together. I think I have it saved on my laptop because I was very proud of that moment myself. But yes, big up Krampusnacht.
Just to save us from the pedantic Whovians, because I know they'll be in the comments, it has happened once.
This is why we're not experts. This is why
it happened during the Christmas invasion when the Sycorax are talking, and then it starts to translate one word. It translates one word. It's not as good though, because they literally just go from alien English. There's no, the crossover is way better in Krampus.
We did it better. Sorry, Russell.
Okay, we acknowledge it's been done before. Just let you know, but an audio has it.
Lord knows.
Not that I'm aware of.
There you go. So, next question. How do you stay motivated and inspired to keep creating content?
Can I give a really candid, perfectly honest answer to this one?
Of course, Mr. Jimmy Pie.
It has to be said at times, we don't. We do run out of motivation, we do run out of inspiration, but this is one of those things that I think a lot of people out there, they really try to You know, if you're really trying to do something and you just can't get it, don't keep pushing yourself. Stop, take a break. And it's one of the things that, you know, we all do. We're always happy to, you know, if somebody's struggling to finish something, we say, look, do you want me to, you know, take over? And that's the thing. And it's not, I was going to say, I've said take over there. I don't mean take over or take it from you, but it's like, you know, you've got to give yourself a break at times. You know, if your motivation's lacking, if your inspiration's lacking, it's because you need to give yourself some breathing space. And I think that's something which a lot of people overlook. That being said, I think the motivation and inspiration that we do get does come from a lot of the feedback we get. Both, I have to say, for me personally, both positive and negative. And it's, you know, obviously really negative feedback. Nobody likes that. But a lot of the time you might get negative feedback that is constructive criticism.
Yeah.
You know, always positive feedback's always good, but constructive criticism always helpful as well, because it's the small things, and it's that's the reason why we talked about this earlier. This is why we do the second ears thing, because we might sit there and listen to something if we're editing it, and we're just listening to it and listening to it and listening to it. And for example, one of the more recent edits I did, which was out at the time of recording today, was the Seventh Doctor Planet of Vampires edit.
Oh,
When I was doing
Sixth
that,
Doctor.
so the Sixth Doctor one, and when I was doing that, it was I got, you know, you guys to listen over to it, and there was a few things, because I'd listened to it for so long, there were bits that I was just missing where things were definitely too quiet because I'd been sitting there listening to them. But then there was another bit where I listened to it about 4 times on edit day, and then went to bed. Next morning or next day, I listened to it, and there was a good 30 seconds of silence right in the middle of it that I'd missed because I hadn't.
but it happens a lot because you're constantly listening and listening and listening, and then you're like, oh, let me just move on to the next part, I'll sort it later, and then sometimes you forget. But yeah, it's just great. I think the inspiration for me comes from the people that I'm working with.
Yeah, I was about to say. Yeah, I was about to say that.
Other people creating stuff, or there you're having a random conversation on a call and whatever, and you be like, here, that's a good idea, I'm writing that down. And then once you have that idea, you'd be like trying to fit it in with what you're maybe originally writing or whatever, and it just gives you that inspiration, it gives you that kick, and you're next thing you know, you're typing a 40-page script, and you started like 20 minutes ago.
I think this is the joy with how we do TT, is because we are a team, we do support one another. And whether that's, oh, Abby, can you get on a Discord with me while I edit so we can body double, or can anyone look over the script for me? Like, we do have that ability to not so much lean on each other, but kind of hold each other's hands if we need to.
But I think
But
as well,
that's the joy. That's the joy of the fact that we do have a team running this channel rather than just an individual person, you know.
But like outside of this, we're like family as well. Like half the time I'm sitting here calling Abby, and I'm just like doing the washing or whatever, and we're just talking about projects. But you know, we have that bond because we've worked closely together in this format.
Well, it's not like I say, we literally ring each other, and fair enough, we do talk about projects, but we also talk about washing machines and how we clean our windows, you know? Like, this is the level we are at now. Domestic life, we love it.
So, the final question. What's the most rewarding part of running TT?
I think the thing that is rewarding is the fact that it's the feedback from the fans, and it's also the feedback from the actors. This is the joy of the fact that when we do record live, we get the kind of impression from the actors as they've done the things, because as we've said, we have lives outside this. A lot of people turn up to recordings having not read the bloody script, and they are there then and there. I'm looking at you too, and myself, to be fair. But sometimes that's good because you don't know what's coming next, because you're learning as you're doing the stuff, which is sometimes more exciting because you're listening to the story. Like, sometimes we have actors come in that are only in 2 scenes, and they'll stay for the whole recording because they're enjoying the
I love
live
that.
listening experience. Like, it's free
Mhm.
entertainment on a Sunday night, you know. But I say it's the projects coming together. It's the fact that we are producing something that we really enjoy doing, and the fact that we know that people outside of our kind of circle are enjoying what we're producing as well is a massive pat on the back for everyone that has any form of managerial role within TT, you know.
I mean, you've sort of already said it all there, but I would definitely say that I can't understate or overstate, in fact, the friends/family aspect of it, because it's one thing to sort of, you know, get together a group of people and do audio dramas and things like that, but it's a whole other thing to do that and then actually just hang out with those people and actually have some actually just times where it's not about the audios and things like that. And I think it's what makes us such a good group, all of us together, is because we do have, we're not just about, you know, the audios, you know, TT is the audio side of it, but then we've cultivated this amazing, you know, like I said, almost like a close-knit family through it. And I think that is, it's an unintended consequence of doing TT, but I think it's possibly one of the best unintended consequences I can think of.
Like, I always look forward to the summer when we all meet each other. And we always try and get as many people as we can, as much as we can fit into where we stay. But it's the anticipation of seeing everybody in person again.
Yeah.
And being able to, like, literally say hi and give them a hug and everything. And it's just, you know, I wouldn't have made the friends that I have made if I didn't do this.
Absolutely, 100% agree.
And I do have to say, I have to give a shout out to Connor Chadwick, because he was the one that got me into the audios in the first place. He got me into audios in 2017. I didn't know what it was. I started recording on my phone. And he found me through Daniel J. Patton, because I'd done a short film for him. And then Connor got me into voice acting. I was with Overton Audios for years. And then when, you know, it's things that happen at the right place and the right time, I think. Because if I wasn't there for that recording with Abby, we wouldn't have met. She would have casted somebody else. And the stories of Molly could have been completely different, or it could have stayed the same. But the likelihood of us meeting in that point was very less likely to happen. So right place, right time to meet these people. And, like, I am always very grateful to the people that I have met through this, and to watch people grow from, like, maybe only starting out voice acting to doing these amazing performances, bringing so much emotion, and my little theatre heart can't take it. So watching them grow and like just be amazing actors, being amazing people, that's the most rewarding bit.
Yeah. I say it's the friendship we formed throughout this whole thing. Like, and even when we do get new people in, like, whenever new people join, we literally call they are a TTer from that moment.
Yeah.
And fair enough, it does sound like some strange cult, but, like, it's basically us welcoming you into the crazy world that is audio producing.
And if you get a nickname,
I was literally about to say, if you get a chosen nickname, you win. That's it. That's official.
We're looking at you, Hedge. Carry a bag.
There's so many.
Chicken.
Razzmatazz, chicken. Summertime Sadness.
Yeah.
You know, there is so many nicknames out there. And if you get a nickname by the Blue Kazoo herself, then, well, it's not going to leave you. It doesn't matter how many roles you do. That nickname will be with you for the rest of your TT days.
This is true.
That is the Audio Hall of Fame.
It's like Mabel.
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 Right. So, thank you for listening / watching. I know it's been very long, but us lot do have a tendency to natter. It's in our nature. So thank you for joining us. I have been Abby Louise, and I have been joined by Chelsea Lagan
Hello.
and Jimmy Wolf.
Hello.
So goodbye.
And goodbye.
See you later.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.